Before Columbus ever set sail, before European maps dared to sketch the Western Hemisphere, civilizations were already thriving across the land, now called America. Great cities rose beside rivers. Monumental earthworks touched the sky, and networks of trade stretched farther than anyone in Europe could imagine. This is the Forgotten Dawn, the story of the Americas before discovery. A world of architects, astronomers, warriors, and dreamers, bound by earth and spirit. Tonight, we journey back, not to a new world, but to an ancient one, where empire, innovation, and identity shaped the very soul of the continents. For centuries, the myth endured that Columbus found an untouched wilderness. But archaeology tells a far different story. When the first Europeans arrived, they stepped into a landscape sculpted by human hands, forests managed by controlled burns, rivers redirected for agriculture, and vast farmlands sustaining millions. From the icy north to the humid tropics, indigenous civilizations had long mastered their environments. The myth of the empty land wasn't born of truth, it was born of convenience, erasing millennia of achievement to justify conquest. But now, science and history are restoring what was lost, the evidence of America's first empires. Beneath the cornfields of the Midwest, the forests of the Amazon, and the deserts of the Southwest, traces of vanished cities still sleep. Satellite imaging, LiDAR scans, and carbon dating have revealed forgotten networks. Roads, canals, temples, and fortresses buried beneath centuries of silence. What explorers once called wilderness is turning out to be the ruins of complexity. Each discovery rewrites the narrative of pre-Columbian America. The soil itself has become a storyteller, whispering of civilizations whose ingenuity rivals Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Rome. The question is no longer whether these empires existed, but how they thrived and why they fell. In the heart of modern Illinois, 1,000 years before the birth of the United States, rose a city unlike any other in North America, Cahokia. It was a metropolis of more than 20,000 people, with grand plazas, solar observatories, and pyramidal mounds towering over the Mississippi River. Its rulers commanded a realm of farmers, artisans, and traders stretching across hundreds of miles. When Europeans later built St. Louis, they unknowingly did so in the shadow of an empire that had already risen and fallen. Cahokia was America's first city, and its disappearance remains one of history's deepest enigmas. Farther south, in the dense jungles and highlands, the ancient Maya, Aztec, and Inca empires forged their own paths to greatness. Long before Columbus's voyage, they charted the stars, built cities of stone and gold, and crafted complex calendars and writing systems. But they were not isolated. Evidence suggests that trade routes linked these Mesoamerican powers with cultures far to the north, exchanging copper, shells, feathers, and sacred knowledge. This interconnected world challenges the idea that ancient America was divided. Instead, it was a continent of empires, distinct yet deeply entwined in ways history is only beginning to rediscover. In the Amazon, scientists once believed no civilization could survive the jungle's harsh ecosystem. Yet new research tells another story. Beneath the trees lie vast earthworks, causeways, and geometric enclosures, evidence of massive settlements. The people here created terra preta, a man-made, fertile soil so rich it still nourishes crops centuries later. They tamed rivers, cultivated orchards, and shaped the forest into a living city. Far from being untouched wilderness, the Amazon was one of humanity's greatest experiments in sustainable civilization, a collaboration between nature and culture, hidden in plain sight for hundreds of years. Long before asphalt and steel, indigenous peoples of the Americas built a vast system of roads, some stretching hundreds of miles. The ancestral Puebloans of the Southwest carved straight, wide paths linking ceremonial centers like Chaco Canyon. In the Andes, the Inca engineered a network of stone roads so advanced it could rival the Roman empires. These highways carried goods, ideas, and messengers, weaving together communities separated by mountains and deserts. They were arteries of empire, testaments to human will, geometry, and cooperation. Through them, America before Columbus pulsed with life and connection. Across the continent, indigenous astronomers turned their gaze upward. At places like Chaco Canyon, Mesa Verde, and Cahokia, structures were aligned perfectly with solstices, equinoxes, and lunar cycles. The ancient peoples of the Americas didn't just watch the stars, they built with them. Their calendars predicted eclipses, their ceremonies followed cosmic rhythms. To them, the sky was not distant. It was divine, woven into every harvest, battle, and birth. While Europe plunged into superstition and war, the peoples of the Americas lived by celestial science, an elegant harmony of earth and cosmos. In the forests of Ontario, the plains of the Dakotas, and the valleys of Ohio, archaeologists have uncovered remnants of wooden palisades, ceremonial mounds, and trade hubs. These were the cities of the Hopewell and Mississippian cultures, societies that predated Columbus by more than a millennium. They traded copper from the Great Lakes, mica from Appalachia, and shells from the Gulf. Their art depicted gods, animals, and celestial beings, revealing a shared spiritual language that spanned the continent. These were not scattered tribes, but organized nations, the architects of a forgotten continental network. Then in 1492, everything changed. The ships of Europe crossed the horizon, bringing with them steel, gunpowder, and disease. The civilizations of the Americas, already weakened by ecological shifts and internal strife, faced a cataclysm without equal. In a single generation, entire nations vanished. But the memory of what they built never truly died. Beneath our cities, beneath our roads, beneath the myths of discovery, their legacy endures in the language, in the soil, in the stars. America before Columbus is not a tale of loss alone. It is a story of endurance, of worlds that refuse to disappear. High above the red canyons of the American Southwest, the ancestral Puebloans carved homes into the cliffs, sanctuaries suspended between earth and sky. At Mesa Verde, their dwellings still cling to the sandstone, silent yet enduring. These people were architects of adaptation, building multi-story cities from stone and adobe, with rooms aligned to catch the winter sun. Their culture thrived on trade, agriculture, and ceremony. Corn, beans, and squash, the three sisters, sustained their lives and shaped their worldview. When drought came and rivers dried, they didn't simply vanish. They migrated, carrying their traditions into new lands and new generations. In the high desert of New Mexico lies Chaco Canyon, a monumental complex of great houses, roads, and kivas that once formed the spiritual and political center of an ancient world. Between the 9th and 12th centuries, it was the beating heart of a civilization. Its architecture reveals astronomical precision, with walls aligned to solstice sunsets. Great roads extended like rays across the desert, linking hundreds of distant communities. The people of Chaco didn't just build, they orchestrated. Their cities were instruments of harmony between heaven and earth, each structure a verse in the continent's oldest architectural symphony. From the sands of Arizona to the valleys of Mexico, desert civilizations flourished where none were expected to. The Hohokam engineered vast irrigation canals, some stretching over 20 miles, transforming arid land into fertile farmland. They traded turquoise, obsidian, and shells across thousands of miles, proving that connection, not isolation, defined pre-Columbian America. Their canal systems were marvels of precision and endurance, still visible today from the air. As the centuries passed, climate change and resource stress fractured their empire. But their descendants, like the Pima and Tejano Oatem peoples, still walk the same desert, guardians of a legacy carved from stone and sun. By the 1300s, Cahokia's towering mound stood silent. Its plazas emptied, its fires extinguished. The reasons remain uncertain. Climate shifts, floods, political unrest, perhaps all play their part. But Cahokia's disappearance did not mark an ending. It marked a transformation. Its people scattered, spreading knowledge, stories, and customs across the Mississippi Basin. Even today, echoes of Cahokia's culture can be found in the oral histories of nations like the Osage, Choctaw, and Natchez. The city may have fallen, but the idea of Cahokia, the dream of organized civilization, continued to shape the heart of the continent. In the woodlands of the Northeast, longhouses stretched for hundreds of feet, homes not for families, but for entire clans. Here, the Iroquois Confederacy, known as the Haudenosaunee, built one of the most sophisticated political systems in the pre-Columbian world. A council of nations governed through consensus, guided by the Great Law of Peace. Women held significant authority, selecting leaders and managing community affairs. Their ideas of democracy, balance, and confederation would later inspire thinkers of the American Revolution. The Forest Kingdoms were living proof that civilization is not defined by stone or empire, but by governance, wisdom, and unity. Far to the north, where ice and wind ruled the land, the Inuit and their ancestors mastered survival in one of the harshest environments on Earth. They crafted homes of snow, boats of skin, and weapons of bone with unmatched precision. Their knowledge of the sea, weather, and migration patterns rivaled any scholar's library. The Arctic was not barren, it was alive with adaptation. Every tool, every ritual was a dialogue with nature. The Inuit proved that innovation is not bound to warmth or wealth. It is born from necessity, from the will to endure where others cannot. Across the Great Plains, long before horses thundered over the grasslands, the ancestors of nations like the Lakota and Pawnee lived as farmers, traders, and astronomers. They cultivated maize, built villages of earth lodges, and tracked the stars to guide their planting and ceremonies. When the horse arrived centuries later, it transformed their world, but it did not define it. The Plains cultures already carried generations of knowledge, rooted in the cycles of the land. To them, every storm, every migration of bison, every sunrise held spiritual meaning. Their empire was not of walls and roads, but of sky, freedom, and rhythm. For centuries, explorers dismissed tales of great cities hidden in the Amazon as fantasy. But LiDAR and drone surveys have revealed something extraordinary. Geometric patterns stretching across hundreds of miles, plazas, and causeways linking once mighty settlements. These were the cities of the Xingu and Tapajos cultures, vast urban centers that blended seamlessly with the jungle. Instead of conquering nature, they cooperated with it. Artificial lakes, raised fields, and sacred gardens turned the forest into a living partner. The Amazon, it seems, was not wild, it was cultivated. Its true empire was ecological, invisible, and astonishingly advanced. Across the Americas, language was the architecture of identity. Thousands of tongues once echoed from the Arctic Circle to Tierra del Fuego, each carrying its own universe of ideas. Nahuatl, Quechua, Algonquian, Maya, they were not just languages but libraries filled with poetry, philosophy, and mathematics. Some languages encoded astronomical knowledge. Others preserved maps of migration or medicinal wisdom. When colonization began, many were silenced, but not lost. Today, they are being revived, spoken once more by new generations reclaiming their ancestral voices. The revival is not merely linguistic. It is cultural resurrection, the land remembering its own name. In the last century, archaeology has begun to peel back the layers of erasure. From ancient mounds unearthed in the Mississippi Valley to buried pyramids in Guatemala and Peru, the evidence is undeniable. The Americas before Columbus were home to empires of innovation, spirituality, and scale. The story we once thought we knew is changing. With every artifact, every excavation, we reclaim fragments of a forgotten past. One that does not begin with discovery, but with remembrance. The lost empires of the ancient West are no longer silent. They are speaking again, through the earth, the stars, and us. In the Andes, where air thins and clouds cling to stone, the ancient peoples built their empires closer to the sky than any civilization before them. Long before the Inca, cultures like the Wari and Tiwanaku tamed this rugged world. They carved terraces into mountainsides, channeling meltwater through intricate canals. Llamas carried trade goods along steep trails that wound through snow and shadow. Here, the gods were close, the sun, the thunder, the mountains themselves. These highland empires didn't just survive the extremes, they sculpted beauty from them. Every stone placed in the Andes was a prayer, and every terrace a promise to endure. Near the shimmering edge of Lake Titicaca lie the ruins of Tiwanaku, a city so ancient that even the Inca called it sacred. Its temples, monoliths, and gateways were carved with uncanny precision, aligned to the solstice sun. The city's architecture seems to defy time. Megalithic stones weighing tons fitted together without mortar, their joints still perfect after 1,000 years. Tiwanaku was not just a city. It was a cosmic map, a stone reflection of heaven. From here, its influence radiated across the Andes, shaping the future of South America's greatest empire, the Inca, the children of the sun. By the 13th century, the Andes were uniting under a new banner, Tawantinsuyo, the Inca Empire. From a small kingdom in Cusco, they forged the largest empire in the pre-Columbian world. At its height, it stretched from modern Ecuador to Chile, binding mountains, jungles, and deserts into one realm. The Inca ruled not through conquest alone, but through engineering, administration, and faith. Their roads spanned thousands of miles. Their bridges hung between cliffs. Their laws governed millions. They believed themselves descended from Inti, the sun god, and under his light, they transformed stone into civilization. High above the Urubamba River, veiled in clouds and mystery, stands Machu Picchu, the crown jewel of the Inca world. It was not a city of conquest, but of contemplation, a royal retreat, and sacred observatory. Its stones fit together with surgical precision, resisting earthquakes and centuries of rain. Every temple, terrace, and stairway was aligned with celestial cycles, a testament to Inca mastery of both earth and sky. When the Spaniards came, Machu Picchu remained hidden, untouched by the destruction below. Today, it stands as a symbol, a ghost of perfection from a world that almost vanished. The Inca engineered one of humanity's greatest feats of infrastructure, the Capac Nan, or Great Road of the Sun. Over 25,000 miles of stone paths wound through deserts, rainforests, and mountains, linking the empire like veins through a living body. Messengers, called chasquis, sprinted across it with messages knotted into quipu cords, a data system of strings and colors. These roads connected cities, armies, and temples, binding the empire in rhythm and communication. Long before asphalt or steel, the Andean world had already mastered logistics, design, and geometry, a network so vast it could still guide travelers today. The quipu, strings knotted in complex sequences, was the Inca's secret language of numbers and memory. Each knot carried information, census data, harvest records, astronomical events, even stories. Though they lacked a written alphabet, they built an empire on data, stored in fiber and mind. The quipu keepers, or quipucamaics, were living archives, trained to read the chords like texts of woven mathematics. For centuries, scholars believed the quipu was purely numerical. Now, new evidence suggests it may also have encoded phonetic sounds, a form of writing hidden in texture and color, waiting to be fully deciphered. Deep in the valleys near Cusco, legend speaks of a place called Paititi, the lost city of gold. Whether myth or memory, it symbolizes the wealth and wonder of the Inca world. Gold to them was not currency, but light made solid, a reflection of the sun's divinity. Their temples shimmered with it, their art breathed it. When the conquistadors arrived, they saw riches, the Inca saw sacredness. The tragedy that followed was not only the looting of treasures, but the erasure of meaning. What the world called gold, the Inca had called spirit, and that spirit still glows beneath the Andes. Spanning roaring rivers and deep canyons, the Inca wove bridges from grass, living engineering marvels renewed each year by hand. The Quetzalcoatl Bridge, still maintained by local villagers, is the last of its kind, a direct link to a 600-year-old tradition. Made entirely from braided plant fibers, it could bear the weight of armies. To cross, it was an act of faith and physics, a symbol of the Inca genius for harmony between technology and nature. These bridges remind us that the most advanced civilizations are not always the ones that conquer the environment, but the ones that cooperate with it. The empire's strength lay not only in stone or steel, but in philosophy. The Inca followed a triad of virtues: ama esua, ama lula, ama aquela, do not steal, do not lie, do not be lazy. Their government provided for all through a system of labor tax called MITA, ensuring that no one went hungry. Surplus harvests were stored in vast granaries, ready for famine or war. They understood that the stability of empire rested on reciprocity, the shared heartbeat of people and land. In the Andes, power was not domination, it was stewardship. Civilization, to them, meant balance. When the Spanish arrived in 1532, the Inca Empire was at its height and on the brink of collapse. Civil war had divided brothers against brothers, and disease had already crept ahead of the invaders. When Francisco Pizarro captured Atahualpa, the Inca emperor, the sun itself seemed to darken. Within a few years, the empire of the Andes fell, its temples looted, its knowledge burned, its cities swallowed by jungle and time. Yet, the spirit of Tawantinsuyu did not die. In hidden villages, in songs, in rituals of the harvest, the light of the sun still burns, waiting to rise again. Long before Columbus's ships breached the horizon, the Caribbean islands were home to thriving cultures: the Taino, the Arawak, and the Carib. They farmed, fished, and traded across turquoise waters, navigating by stars and memory. Their canoes were masterpieces of balance, capable of crossing vast distances. Communities flourished along coasts and rivers, guided by matrilineal traditions and councils of elders. When Europeans arrived, they mistook kindness for weakness. But the Taino world had its own sophistication, a civilization in harmony with sea and soil. What was destroyed in decades had evolved over millennia. The islands were never empty. They were radiant with life. Deep in the jungles of Guatemala and the Yucatan, the ancient Maya charted the heavens and mapped eternity. Their calendars predicted celestial events with uncanny precision. Cities like Tikal, Palenque, and Copan rose in step pyramids of limestone and shadow, each temple a monument to their obsession with time. They saw existence as cyclical, not linear, a spiral of birth, death, and renewal. While Europe wrestled with superstition, the Maya calculated eclipses, tracked Venus, and recorded dynasties on stone stele. Their civilization was a universe in itself, an equation of gods, stars, and blood that defined an era. The Maya were among the few civilizations of the ancient world to develop a full written language. Thousands of hieroglyphic books, codices, once recorded their science, art, and history. Made from bark paper and painted with pigments of blue and red, they were intellectual treasures. But when the Spanish arrived, most were burned, declared the work of demons. Only 4 Maya codices survive today. In their surviving pages, we glimpse a world of astronomical precision, ritual, and prophecy. The written voice of a civilization silenced too soon. Each glyph carved in stone is now a defiant heartbeat against oblivion. North of modern Mexico City lies a city older than the Aztec Empire, Teotihuacan, the place where gods were born. At its height, it held over 100,000 people, its pyramids rivaling those of Egypt. The Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon still rise against the horizon, monuments to an unknown people. No written record survives to name their rulers or gods. Yet their architecture, their murals, and their urban planning reveal a civilization of immense sophistication. Teotihuacan was the first great metropolis of the Americas, a beacon of order, geometry, and cosmic symbolism. Stretching for miles, the Avenue of the Dead was Teotihuacan's sacred axis, a boulevard of temples, palaces, and processional plazas. Pilgrims from across Mesoamerica walked this path to honor their gods. The city was organized with mathematical precision, aligned with celestial movements. Beneath its pyramids, archaeologists have found tunnels filled with mercury, a shimmering representation of the underworld. To the people of Teotihuacan, life and death were mirrors of each other, reflections in an eternal cycle. When the city finally fell, it was not forgotten. Centuries later, the Aztec would find its ruins and call it divine. By the 14th century, the Valley of Mexico pulsed with new power. The Mexica, known to history as the Aztecs. From a marshy island in Lake Texcoco, they built Tenochtitlan, a city of canals, markets, and temples that dazzled even European eyes. Its floating gardens, or chinampas, fed a population of more than 200,000. Warriors, priests, and poets walked its streets beneath banners of jaguar and eagle. The Aztec Empire was both brutal and brilliant, a union of art and war, sacrifice and science. They believed they were chosen to keep the sun alive and the world turning. When Hernán Cortés first beheld Tenochtitlan in 1519, he wrote that it seemed like a dream. The city rose from the lake like a vision, temples glittering in sunlight, causeways stretching across the water, markets filled with gold, feathers, and cacao. It was a city cleaner, larger, and more organized than any in Europe. At its center stood the Templo Mayor, twin pyramids dedicated to the gods of rain and war. The Aztec world was one of balance, creation and destruction intertwined. To understand Tenochtitlan is to understand humanity's endless dance between beauty and sacrifice. Across Mesoamerica, one deity reigned supreme, Quetzalcoatl, the feathered serpent. He was the god of wind, wisdom, and renewal, worshipped by both Toltec and Aztec alike. Legends say he brought knowledge to humanity, the arts, the calendar, the order of the stars. Some called him the morning star, others the boundary between heaven and earth. When the Spanish arrived, myths claimed they were his return, a tragic confusion that hastened conquest. Yet Quetzalcoatl's legacy endures. He symbolizes the heart of the Americas, a god not of domination, but of creation and balance, forever reborn in the rising sun. From the Great Lakes to the Yucatan, from the Andes to the Caribbean, trade was the bloodstream of the ancient Americas. Obsidian from Mexico, shells from Florida, copper from Michigan, feathers from the tropics, all moved along vast networks of exchange. These routes carried not only goods but ideas, art, and cosmology. The myth of isolation dissolves under this truth. The Western Hemisphere was interconnected long before Columbus. Civilizations rose and communicated through barter and belief. Their routes were roads of imagination, linking thousands of miles into a single, invisible empire of shared humanity. Across the Americas, ancient astronomers stood, watched beneath the same stars. From the observatories of the Maya to the stone circles of the Chaco and the pyramids of Teotihuacan, their gaze was constant, upward. They built calendars of sun and shadow, mapped Venus's cycles, and measured the moon's rhythm with instruments carved from stone. To them, the sky was not a mystery to be conquered, but a teacher to be understood. They saw unity in the cosmos, a symmetry between heaven and earth. The Americas before Columbus were not blind to the stars. They were guided by them. To the ancient peoples of the Americas, the world was not divided between sacred and ordinary. Every tree, river, and mountain was alive, breathing with spiritual energy. The Maya called it Kea, the Aztecs Teotl, and the Andeans Camac, the life force that binds all existence. Humanity's duty was not to rule the earth, but to maintain its balance. Rituals of offering and dance were acts of reciprocity, keeping harmony between realms. Where Europe saw dominion, the Americas saw relationship. Civilization, to them, was not built against nature. It was built with it, guided by the rhythm of creation itself. Medicine in the pre-Columbian world was both empirical and mystical. Healers studied plants, minerals, and animal behaviors with astonishing precision. The Amazonian shamans identified thousands of medicinal herbs. Knowledge modern science is only beginning to rediscover. From coca leaves in the Andes to willow bark in North America, they found cures through observation and communion with the environment. Dreams were diagnostic tools, visions paths to healing. Sickness was imbalance, not punishment. The doctor's role was not to fight nature, but to listen to it. Their medicine was a conversation, one between the body, the soul, and the living earth. When we think of ancient architecture, we imagine stone and grandeur. But in the Americas, architecture also meant alignment, the invisible geometry of faith. Temples, plazas, and roads were oriented to solstices, stars, and sacred mountains. In Chaco Canyon, a single window might capture the exact beam of sunlight that marks the year's turning. In Peru, the Nazca lines formed vast geoglyphs only visible from the heavens. These were not mere symbols. They were bridges between worlds. Every city was a map, part earthly design, part cosmic declaration. To live within, it was to walk through a living calendar. Agriculture in ancient America was not simply cultivation. It was creation. The peoples of the Americas engineered crops that would feed the world: maize, potatoes, tomatoes, cacao, and countless others. They domesticated plants with astonishing sophistication, using selective breeding and irrigation centuries before modern science. The chinampas of Mexico, the terraces of the Andes, the raised fields of the Amazon, all were expressions of ecological genius. These gardens were not accidental. They were art forms, living laboratories of sustainability. The civilizations before Columbus were not the children of wilderness. They were its architects, gardeners of paradise. Music and rhythm pulsed through every civilization of the ancient West. Drums, flutes, conch shells, and rattles echoed through plazas and temples, guiding rituals that merged heartbeat with cosmos. In Maya courts, musicians played wooden trumpets during royal ceremonies. Among the Plains nations, songs carried memory and lineage, each note a record of ancestry. The Inca used panpipes to speak to the wind, believing that sound itself could summon harmony. Music was history made audible. It connected the living and the dead, human and divine. In every note, the ancestors spoke, and the world listened. Color was never merely decorative in the ancient Americas, it was sacred language. The Maya mixed pigments that defied time, creating the famous Maya blue, resistant to decay for over a millennium. The Inca wove cloth dyed in reds and golds that denoted status and divinity. The Aztecs painted codices in vivid hues, each shade carrying symbolic power: red for life, black for night, blue for sacrifice. To paint or weave was an act of invocation, a means to communicate with gods and spirits. Their art was not silent. It spoke through color, motion, and sacred design. In Aztec philosophy, life was a dream suspended between light and shadow. The world, they said, was made and unmade 5 times, each era destroyed by cosmic catastrophe. Humanity's task was to maintain the current sun, the 5th sun, through ritual and courage. The Maya saw time as a living being, ever-turning and self-renewing. In the Andes, the Inca believed history moved in cycles called Pachacuti, epochs of transformation. These philosophies shared one truth: permanence is an illusion. All things must die to be reborn. Theirs was a worldview not of fear, but of cosmic participation, the courage to exist within eternity. Women were the quiet architects of civilization. They were weavers, healers, and keepers of the hearth, but also astronomers, leaders, and shamans. In Andean myth, the goddess Mama Aklo taught humanity to weave and build. Among the Haudenosaunee, women chose chiefs and safeguarded the Great Law. In Maya cities, priestesses oversaw temples and rituals of the moon. The act of weaving itself symbolized time, each thread a moment, each cloth a universe. Their hands preserved knowledge more enduring than stone. Through them, the continuity of culture, spirit, and story was never broken. Long before the written alphabet reached the Americas, storytelling was the continent's living library. Elders carried entire histories through spoken word, song, and dance. The Hopi told of migrations guided by spirits beneath the earth. The Quechua recited tales of creation that echoed through mountain passes. To forget was unthinkable. Memory was identity. Stories were more than entertainment. They were governance, education, and faith. When Europeans came, many stories went underground, whispered in secret for centuries. But they survived. Today, those same words, carried by descendants, prove that history cannot be conquered, only silenced for a time. The peoples of the Americas mastered mathematics long before contact. The Maya developed the concept of zero independently, a philosophical leap few civilizations achieved. Their vigesimal, base 20 system could measure vast astronomical cycles. In the Andes, the Incas' quipu encoded numerical data with tactile precision. The Aztec calendar stone itself was a geometric masterpiece, an equation carved in basalt. Numbers were sacred, reflecting the patterns of gods and cosmos. To count was to honor the order of creation. Through mathematics, they built calendars, architecture, and empires, the silent logic that shaped a continent's destiny. Across the Americas, warfare was both ritual and reality. Warriors were guardians of balance, not conquerors for greed. Among the Aztec, combat was a sacred duty. Capturing rather than killing ensured the continuity of sacrifice and the cosmos itself. In the Andes, Inca armies marched with discipline and strategy rivaling Rome's legions. North of them, the Iroquois forged peace through confederation, proving that diplomacy could be a weapon stronger than the spear. War was not chaos. It was choreography, a dance of order and honor, guided by laws older than kings. Every battle was a prayer that the sun might rise again. Long before Columbus, diplomacy flowed through trade routes and council fires. The Mayan negotiated alliances with jade and cacao. The Incas secured peace through marriage and tribute. In North America, the Haudenosaunee Grand Council met beneath the Tree of Peace, where disputes were settled not by blood, but by consensus. Their wampum belts, intricate patterns of shell, recorded treaties with a precision equal to any parchment. Across the continent, the art of peace was as valued as the art of war. The true strength of pre-Columbian civilization lay not in conquest, but in connection. Before European ships cut through the Atlantic, the peoples of the Americas were explorers of their own vast world. The Polynesians may have reached the western coast long before Columbus, exchanging seeds and stories. The Inuit navigated ice and sea by memory alone. And deep within the jungles of South America, explorers mapped rivers that would take lifetimes to traverse. The myth of isolation fades as evidence grows. The Western Hemisphere was not waiting to be found. It had already found itself in waves of migration, innovation, and rediscovery that spanned centuries before 1492. In the final centuries before European contact, strange omens spread across the Americas. Droughts withered crops in the Southwest. Volcanic eruptions darkened skies in Mesoamerica. In the Andes, political unrest weakened the unity of the Inca. Across empires, the stars seemed to shift, and priests spoke of cycles ending. These were natural events interpreted through sacred cosmology, warnings of transformation. When foreign sails finally appeared on the horizon, many believed the prophecies had come true. The end of one age, they said, had begun. but they could not have foreseen how total that ending would be. Imagine the coastline of the Caribbean in 1492, calm waters, blue as eternity. Then, on the horizon, three shapes emerge: the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. To the Taino, they were floating temples, perhaps celestial visitors. To the sailors, this was triumph, the discovery of a world already old. The meeting that followed was cautious, curious, and fleetingly peaceful. Gifts were exchanged, languages bridged by gesture and wonder. No one could know that this encounter would unleash centuries of transformation, an irreversible fusion of worlds. The age of isolation was over. The age of collision had begun. What began as encounter soon became invasion. The arrival of Europeans brought more than swords and banners. It brought invisible enemies. Smallpox, measles, influenza, diseases that ravaged the continent faster than armies ever could. In some regions, 90% of the population perished within decades. Entire cities fell silent. The great empires, already weakened by internal struggles, faced an apocalypse no weapon could resist. The discovery of America was, for its first inhabitants, a descent into mourning. Yet even in loss, resilience endured. In hidden valleys and forest sanctuaries, survivors kept the old songs alive. In 1521, the city once called a dream fell in fire and blood. The Aztec capital, Tenochtitlan, was besieged by Spanish forces and their indigenous allies. Canals turned red. Temples burned beneath thunder and smoke. The last emperor, Cuauhtémoc, fought until the very end, captured but unbroken. The city that had once rivaled any in the world lay in ruins. The Spanish built Mexico City atop its ashes, unaware that the stones beneath their feet still whispered. The fall of Tenochtitlan was not just the end of an empire. It was the eclipse of an entire cosmology. Far to the south, another empire awaited the same fate. The Inca, fractured by civil war, faced a small band of invaders led by Francisco Pizarro. When Atahualpa, the Sapa Inca, was captured at Cajamarca, he offered a ransom that filled a room with gold and silver, the wealth of gods. The Spaniards took the treasure, then his life. With him, the empire's divine order collapsed. The Sun King was gone, and with him the living bridge between heaven and earth. Yet among the Quechua people, songs of Atahualpa's return still echo, a promise that the sun will rise again. North of Mexico, the great mound cities, Cahokia, Etowah, and Moundville, were already quiet when Europeans arrived. Yet they left traces that spoke of former grandeur. Explorers misread them as natural hills, unable to imagine indigenous engineers of such scale. Only centuries later would archaeology uncover the truth. These were America's first pyramids. Beneath their soil lay stories of rulers, astronomers, and architects who had built cities before the birth of European nations. Though abandoned, the mounds remained sacred. They were not ruins. They were memory itself, waiting for the world to listen. In the wake of conquest, the circles of balance shattered. Forests burned, temples fell, languages faded into silence. But not all was lost. Hidden within syncretic faiths and oral traditions, the old gods adapted, surviving behind masks of saints and symbols. The Andean Inti became the Christ of the sun. The Virgin of Guadalupe carried the spirit of Tenantzin. Across the Americas, indigenous peoples transformed survival into resistance and memory into identity. The circle was broken, but never erased. Beneath centuries of pain, the pulse of the ancient West still beats, patient and eternal. After the fall of the great cities, the conquerors believed the world of the first peoples had ended. But in the quiet spaces in mountains, forests, deserts, and dreams, fires still burned. Grandmothers whispered the old languages by moonlight. Farmers buried sacred seeds beside Christian crosses, protecting both faiths in one gesture. In the Andes, the festivals of Inti Raymi continued beneath the banner of saints. The colonizers saw submission. What they missed was endurance. Beneath every forced conversion and every broken idol, the heartbeat of an older world endured, waiting for its time to rise again. Throughout the colonial centuries, knowledge was not lost. It went underground. In Mexico, Calmecac teachings persisted in hidden form. In the Andes, Amadas taught astronomy, disguised as prayer. Elders encoded science and philosophy within myths, so the knowledge could travel safely through time. A tale of serpents and eagles might conceal the secrets of constellations. A festival of saints might follow the solar calendar of the Inca. Across the continent, the mind of pre-Columbian civilization lived on in disguise, teaching generations how to remember without revealing. Their resistance was brilliance, and their classroom was the world itself. Language is the vessel of memory. When colonization banned indigenous tongues, it was an attempt to erase identity itself. Yet many words survived, embedded in the land and the people. The names of cities, Chicago, Toronto, Mexico, Cusco, are echoes of older songs. Even English and Spanish carry whispers of Nahuatl, Quechua, and Arawak. Today, scholars and descendants work to revive these languages, recording elders and teaching children to speak the words of their ancestors once more. Each syllable recovered is an act of resurrection, the breath of a people returning to the world. Art became a refuge, a weapon, and a memory. Colonial painters blended European technique with indigenous vision, creating hybrid masterpieces that defied their oppressors. Weavers continued to encode cosmologies into textiles, patterns that mirrored stars and stories hidden from colonial eyes. Potters in Pueblo lands molded clay with prayers for continuity. Even Catholic churches became canvases of rebellion, their walls decorated with indigenous symbols painted beneath biblical scenes. Art spoke when words could not. Every color, every line was defiance disguised as devotion, a silent revolution in paint and fiber. Despite conquest, the sacred relationship between humanity and the earth could not be severed. In secret gardens and mountain shrines, rituals to Pachamama, Tenantzin, and countless local spirits continued. Farmers planted according to lunar cycles, guided by ancestral calendars that predated the cross. To indigenous peoples, the colonizer's God was another presence in a world already alive with divinity, not a replacement, but an addition. This ability to adapt without surrender preserved an ancient truth, that creation is not an event, but a relationship renewed each dawn. The old gods did not die. They learned to speak new names. While empires rose and fell, women carried the future in their hands, literally. In hidden fields and family plots, they preserved the crops that once sustained civilizations: maize, beans, quinoa, amaranth, and potatoes. When colonizers imposed wheat and cattle, indigenous women kept their sacred seeds alive in secret. Those same seeds now feed billions worldwide. The resilience of maize is the resilience of a continent. Adaptable, enduring, unstoppable. Every harvest in the modern world is an unspoken testament to these keepers of life, who defied extinction with nothing but soil, sun, and memory. Across the Americas, prophecy spoke of a time when the eagle of the north and the condor of the south would reunite, when wisdom and power would fly together again. For centuries, it was a story whispered in hope. Today, indigenous movements across the hemisphere invoke it as reality. From Standing Rock to the high Andes, from Amazon defenders to Arctic elders, nations once divided by conquest are reconnecting through shared purpose, to protect the earth and restore balance. The prophecy is no longer a legend. It is unfolding one generation at a time. In the 19th and 20th centuries, archaeology sought to uncover the ruins of lost civilizations, but often it was the descendants themselves who knew where to dig. Indigenous guides led explorers to temples, scripts, and buried cities, not as discoveries but as homecomings. Modern archaeology, once a tool of erasure, has become a bridge. Descendant communities now lead the research, blending science with oral history. The soil that once buried their ancestors' cities now reveals proof of their genius. The past, long silenced, is speaking again, and the world is finally listening. Ancient astronomy is being reborn through modern eyes. Indigenous astronomers and scientists are reinterpreting the sky, blending ancestral star knowledge with astrophysics. The Maya's precise calendar systems, the Incas' solar towers, and the Navajo's star maps are now seen not as myth, but as early science. Around the world, observatories collaborate with indigenous elders to understand the cosmic wisdom encoded in story. The stars are no longer distant. They are bridges between times. The constellations that once guided empire now guide revival. The heavens, it seems, have been waiting for humanity to remember where to look. Identity, once fractured by colonization, is being reassembled by descendants who carry both past and present within them. Festivals, languages, and ceremonies long outlawed are returning, not as museum pieces, but as living practices. In cities and villages alike, indigenous youth dance in regalia, speak ancestral tongues, and declare pride in heritage once shamed. The world is watching, but this rebirth is not for the world approval. It is for the ancestors who endured so that the future might breathe freely again. The civilizations before Columbus were never truly lost. They were waiting to be remembered. A new generation of scientists is rewriting everything we thought we knew about the pre-Columbian world, not through conquest, but collaboration. Archaeologists, geneticists, and indigenous historians now work side by side, merging data with memory. Ancient DNA confirms what oral histories always said, that migration, innovation, and civilization flowed in every direction. Satellite imaging reveals forgotten cities beneath jungles, proving that the so-called wilderness was once a network of brilliance. Science, for the first time, is not speaking over indigenous voices, it's listening to them. The truth was never hidden. It was simply waiting for humility to find it. In the Amazon, LiDAR technology has unveiled the impossible. Geometric earthworks, plazas, and roads beneath centuries of forest. The jungle, long believed untamed, was once an engineered ecosystem. Indigenous peoples sculpted the land itself into a sustainable paradise, blending ecology and design. Archaeologists now recognize that the forest's extraordinary biodiversity is not an accident. It is inheritance. The trees themselves are descendants of human cultivation, guardians of forgotten gardens. The revelation is profound. The greatest rainforest on Earth was once humanity's masterpiece. Civilization did not destroy nature. It nurtured it into eternity. Across Mexico and Central America, modern technology peers through soil and stone to reveal cities larger than London once was. Entire networks of causeways, reservoirs, and pyramids lie hidden beneath farmland and forest canopy. These were not isolated kingdoms, but interconnected worlds, the arteries of a continental civilization. Each discovery dismantles another myth, that the Americas were a wild frontier. In truth, they were a constellation of genius, societies that thrived through mathematics, astronomy, and art. Beneath every modern road may lie an avenue once walked by kings, astronomers, and dreamers who mapped eternity. Ancient remains are no longer seen as relics of conquest, but as voices of continuity. DNA and isotopic studies reveal the complexity of ancient migrations. People who traveled vast distances, trading ideas, crops, and stories. The first Americans were not static tribes, but dynamic nations in constant dialogue. For indigenous communities, repatriation of ancestral remains has become sacred restoration, giving back the spirit that science once took. The bones now return to the earth, honored as teachers, not specimens. Each reburial is both an ending and a beginning. The restoration of humanity's oldest covenant, respect. Where Western cartography once divided land by borders, ancient American mapping traced relationships between mountains, rivers, spirits, and stars. Now, Digital technology recreates these worldviews in 3D, revealing how deeply indigenous geographies were intertwined with ecology and ritual. The land was not just space, it was story. Every mountain was a relative, every river a memory. Modern geographers and virtual reality artists now rebuild these maps of meaning, letting viewers step inside an ancient worldview. For the first time, we are beginning to see not only what these civilizations built, but how they thought and how they dreamed. Recent discoveries in Mayan and Andean artifacts reveal mathematical sophistication equal to that of the ancient Greeks or Egyptians. Calendars align precisely with celestial cycles. Temples encode astronomical equations, and patterns in Khufu's hint at binary-like logic. These findings suggest that the civilizations before Columbus may have laid the groundwork for forms of computation we are only beginning to understand. Mathematics, for them, was sacred language, the architecture of divinity expressed through numbers. Every equation was a prayer, every pattern a bridge between the human mind and the infinite. The Maya long count calendar, once misinterpreted as a doomsday prophecy, has been reclaimed as a philosophy of renewal. Its cycles represent transformation, not destruction, endings as preludes to rebirth. In modern times, indigenous scholars reinterpret these calendars to align human activity with cosmic rhythm. Festivals, solstice ceremonies, and ecological observances now mirror those ancient alignments, reconnecting people with the seasons and stars. The world did not end in 2012. It began remembering. The calendar's message is timeless. Humanity's survival depends on harmony with the cycles that sustain all life. From Alaska to Patagonia, indigenous nations are leading environmental and cultural restoration movements grounded in ancestral wisdom. The Haida protect their forests through traditional law. The Quechua revive terrace farming that sustains mountain life. The Maya teach ecological balance through sacred maize cultivation. These are not revivals of the past. They're blueprints for the future. In a world facing climate crisis, the wisdom of pre-Columbian civilization offers a path forward, to live not above the earth, but within it. The ancients were never primitive. They were prophets of sustainability. Every excavation, every artifact, every unearthed tool is a sentence in a grander text, the book of human continuity. The soil of the Americas is an archive written in clay, bone, and stone. Archaeologists now treat each site not as conquest trophy, but as a page in the shared story of humanity. With each discovery, we rewrite our understanding, not of them, but of ourselves. The civilizations before Columbus remind us that greatness is not measured by empires or wealth, but by the ability to live beautifully in balance with the world that gives us life. In the silence of ancient temples and forgotten fields, something eternal stirs, a quiet remembrance. The earth, once scarred by conquest, begins to heal through the act of rediscovery. Rivers flow through sacred valleys once more. Prayers rise in languages thought lost. The descendants of those who built the first roads, temples, and cities walk them again, not as archaeologists or tourists, but as heirs. History, it seems, was not buried. It was only sleeping. And now, as the world listens, the ancient West speaks again, not of loss, but of return. As the cameras pan across ruins and rainforest, the air feels charged, alive with unseen memory. The ancestors, once thought silent, rise again through the languages, songs, and ceremonies of their descendants. They're not ghosts, but guides. Each excavation becomes invocation, each rediscovered melody, a resurrection. From the deserts of the Southwest to the peaks of the Andes, the voices of the first architects of the West hum beneath the earth. History, they remind us, is not behind us. It breathes with us. The civilizations before Columbus were never lost. They were simply waiting for us to remember. The story of America before Columbus is not just the tale of the past. It is a mirror for the future. In these ancient societies, humanity achieved balance between knowledge and nature, art and survival, faith and science. Their cities were not built to dominate, but to coexist. Today, as our modern world faces ecological collapse and spiritual emptiness, their example shines with renewed urgency. They whisper from beneath the soil and across the stars that progress without harmony is illusion. To rediscover them is to rediscover ourselves, not as conquerors of the world, but as its caretakers. Every monument left behind, from the serpent mounds to the sun pyramids, speaks a language older than conquest. The stones themselves echo with memory, their geometry aligned to cosmic truth. When the solstice light strikes Chichen Itza, or when dawn touches the temple of the sun at Cuzco, something ancient awakens in the human soul. These alignments are not mere engineering, they are communion. The ancients carved eternity into stone so that one day, when humanity forgot its place in the cosmos, the earth itself could remind us. And now, the stones are speaking again. To the ancient Americans, time was not a line, it was a circle. Every death became renewal. Every ending a seed of beginning. Their myths foretold cycles of destruction and rebirth, not as punishment, but as promise. The fall of empires, the rise of new ones, even the coming of strangers from across the sea, all were part of a greater rhythm. Now, as humanity stands at another threshold, the old wisdom returns, that nothing is truly lost, only transformed. The circle continues, and within it, every civilization, past, present, and future, shares one pulse. Before the written word, nature itself was scripture. The wind carried meaning, rivers taught direction, thunder spoke of change. The ancient peoples read the world the way we read books. Today, as we rediscover environmental consciousness, we are relearning that language. Scientists measure what indigenous ancestors once intuited, that the planet is a living system, responsive and sacred. The rivers remember where we have been, and the storms remind us what we've forgotten. To listen to nature is to listen to history, for it was the first and greatest storyteller of all. Across the Americas, temples and pyramids were aligned to the movement of the sun, not as monuments to power, but as lessons in humility. Each dawn marked humanity's small, but sacred role in the cosmos. Light was life, not conquest. Even now, archaeologists and travelers stand at these ancient sites and feel the same awe, a reminder that brilliance is not measured in technology, but in awareness. The civilizations before Columbus worshipped light because they understood what we forget, that illumination begins within. Their legacy endures wherever truth dispels shadow. From the first potter shaping clay to the stonemason carving jaguar reliefs, the human hand has always been a bridge between idea and world. The artifacts of ancient America are not relics. They're fingerprints of thought. Each bowl, blade, and textile is a message from those who lived in sacred partnership with creation. In museums and temples alike, we see not just their skill, but their humanity. Their hands reached across time to remind us that art is not what survives the artist. It is what keeps the artist alive. In every culture of the ancient Americas, dreams were portals. Messages from ancestors, visions from gods, blueprints for destiny. Today, scientists map the brain, but still struggle to define imagination. The ancients already understood. Dreaming is remembering, not of what was, but of what could be. As the documentary's final chapters unfold, the screen fades between city skylines and temple ruins, between satellites and stars. The dream continues. Civilization, once thought lost, reawakens, not in ruins, but in consciousness. The dream of balance, beauty, and belonging has returned. The story of America before Columbus is not about discovery, but rediscovery. Every artifact unearthed, every song sung anew, is part of a greater remembering, the healing of a wound centuries deep. It is a reunion between ancestors and descendants, between humanity and the earth. This is not nostalgia, it is renewal. The world is beginning to remember what these civilizations always knew, that knowledge without reverence is empty, and progress without roots is collapse. The great remembering has begun, and with it, the promise of a wiser age. As the screen fades to twilight, the narrator's voice softens. The camera glides over mountains, rivers, and ruins glowing beneath the stars. A single drumbeat rises, the heartbeat of a continent. The day we stopped calling it the New World, the voice says, was the day we began to understand it. The music swells, blending ancient flutes with modern strings. The civilizations before Columbus did not vanish. They became the soil, the wind, and the breath that still moves within us. The final image, dawn breaking over the Andes, the earth remembering itself again. The descendants of the ancient Americas live between two worlds, the world of their ancestors and the world that tried to replace it. Yet in that in-between space, something extraordinary has grown, a bridge. In their art, their language, their resistance, they have woven together what was once divided. They are the children of maize and steel, of sun and city. Through them, the legacy of the ancient West continues, not frozen in the past, but alive in the pulse of modern identity. The story does not end with loss. It ends with inheritance. Every river in the Americas still follows the paths carved by ancient engineers and storytellers. Beneath modern bridges and concrete banks, their currents whisper the same song sung by canoes of obsidian and cedar. These waters have seen empires rise and fall, have carried traders, warriors, and dreamers. The rivers do not distinguish past from present. They remember both. When we stand by their shores and listen, we hear not history, but continuity. The civilizations before Columbus are not gone. They flow still, winding through time, shaping the course of everything we are becoming. Beneath every modern metropolis lies another world. Under the skyscrapers of Mexico City, the stones of Tenochtitlan still breathe. Beneath Lima's avenues, the walls of the Inca whisper their stories. Even beneath Manhattan's asphalt, ancient footpaths of Lenape hunters trace invisible lines. The land remembers, even when we forget. Each foundation we lay rests upon 1,000 others. Civilization, it turns out, is not a ladder, but a tapestry. One layer upon another, all threads of the same creation. The future we build will always rise upon the bones of what came before. When night falls over the ruins, the same stars that guided ancient astronomers burn overhead. Their constellations have not changed, only the names we give them. Somewhere, a modern scientist calibrates a telescope, unaware that they are continuing an inheritance older than any nation. The ancients studied those same stars not just for science, but for meaning. To them, the heavens were a dialogue. And perhaps they were right. Perhaps the universe is not silent, but waiting to be understood in a language we once knew by heart. The sky remains the oldest scripture. In an age of machines and climate reckoning, humanity stands once again at a crossroads, the same one the ancients faced and mastered. Their message, whispered across centuries, is clear. Survival depends on balance. Not dominance, not endless growth. Balance. The civilizations before Columbus thrived for millennia because they understood that progress must serve harmony, not hunger. Their wisdom is not nostalgia, it is instruction. If we are to endure, we must remember what they knew, that the earth is not a resource, but a relative. The time for remembering has come. Perhaps the greatest temple ever built was not made of stone at all. It is the earth itself. Mountains as pillars, rivers as corridors, sky as ceiling. The ancients prayed within this temple every day, not through conquest, but through gratitude. Today, we can rebuild every pyramid and still miss the lesson, that the sacred was never lost because it was never separate. The last temple is not in ruins, we stand inside it. And every act of reverence, every moment of care, restores its light. Civilization begins again, not with empire, but with awareness. Behind every date, every artifact, every ruin, there is another story, one not of kings and wars, but of continuity. It is the story of mothers teaching songs, of farmers watching the sky, of children tracing stars in the sand. History often remembers monuments. Wisdom remembers moments. These civilizations were not defined by their collapse, but by their creation, by the way they lived in rhythm with everything that breathes. Their story is not over because we are still living it. The human spirit has no ruins. It only has roots. Modern travelers who walk among the ruins are not explorers. They are pilgrims. Each step is a return. The wind that moves through Machu Picchu, the silence at Palenque, the twilight over Cahokia, all speak to something within us that recognizes home. We are not discovering the ancient Americas. We are rediscovering what it means to be human. The ancients are not behind us. They are ahead of us, waiting at the horizon of understanding. The pilgrimage is not across land, but across time, from forgetfulness to remembrance. As the music swells, the narration softens. Listen, the voice says, do you hear it? Beneath the wind, beneath the waves, beneath the hum of cities, the earth still speaks. The film cuts to vast landscapes, glaciers melting, forests regrowing, ruins shimmering beneath drone light. It speaks in the language of balance, of memory, of return. The civilizations before Columbus were never forgotten. They became the Earth's own memory. And now, as we face the same choices they once faced, the Earth waits for our answer. The screen fades to sunrise, light washing over mountains, jungles, and stone. The narrator's final words linger. Before Columbus, there were empires of beauty, science, and soul, civilizations that knew the world not as a possession, but as a promise. Their wisdom was never lost. It became the pulse beneath our feet, the song in our breath, the light in our dawn. As the music swells, the camera rises toward the horizon. The world glows with gold. Title appears, America Before Columbus, The Lost Empires of the Ancient West. The dawn of remembering has begun.